Hey, what's up? I got some more lore content for you guys. So a few days ago, I was thinking about what Legends of Runeterra card best represents me and my friends. You know, just for fun, because it's a pretty cool topic to talk about. I actually had a good time poking at people, calling them some of the more silly cards, but I got to thinking, what cards best represent some of the content creators that I know, or have seen, either in looks, personality, or gameplay? So that's basically what this is. I gathered a small list of some of the streamers that I watch and or talk to, and came up with some cards that represent them. A few disclaimers, I only picked a handful of content creators. There's a ton of people out there, so if you're one of those people or you have a good idea for someone, please feel free to comment below and I'll take a look and we can talk about it. Hey, I might even make another video like this sometime. Next disclaimer is this is meant to be mostly for fun. I'm not trying to stereotype a specific trait onto a person, and I'm most certainly not trying to offend anyone, so let's just keep it at that. With that, let's get into the first one. Alright, so I'm going to get an easy one out of the way right in the beginning. Swim being Ava Achiever. Now, the resemblance between the two is absolutely uncanny. I'm pretty sure that Ava was actually, legitimately modeled after Swim. I could be wrong, but I remember seeing the pictures of it on Twitter, like, oh my god, this is literally the same person. So Ava, definitely Swim. Alright, for the next one, I have Twisted Fate representing MegaMogwai. Most of you are probably going to say this is another cop-out, which, you know, it kind of is because Mogwai has Twisted Fate's level up animation as his YouTube intro, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. I think the way Twisted Fate presents himself and how sneaky he is kind of shows through Mogwai's deck building and his gameplay. Mog is really good at putting in like sneaky cards, trying strategies that other people don't normally think of, and making it work, you know, and a lot of people don't expect it. And I think that's really, really cool, and that makes Twisted Fate a good representation of Mogwai as a whole. Alright, for my boy NicMakesPlays, I'm choosing none other than crowd favorite, and for a couple reasons. So the first one is the physical aspect. I've seen the Instagram pictures. Nick can get absolutely ripped. It looks just like this guy, I promise. No bias, no cap. He did not pay me to say this. I'm not sponsored by Nick, although, you know, hit me up. I'm able. So yeah, crowd favorite's really, really good. So his personality also reminds me of Nick. Nick, when I join his stream, is like, I'm entering a coliseum. He's like, yo, let's go. Like, his whole thing is, let's go, you know, and people say, let's go all the time, and I say, let's go, and that kind of energy is contagious. So that's why it kind of reminds me of being in the coliseum, seeing a dude in the center, just absolutely whipping everyone, and that's Nick to me. So because of like the energy and the personality, also because the physical appearance, I think this is a pretty easy one. A lot of people should now be like, oh yeah, that just makes sense. Alright, for Mo, I'm picking Misfortune, and this is for a couple of personality reasons. They're both confident, they're both sassy, and to be honest, can you not imagine Misfortune walking up after she just won a ship battle and saying built different? I can totally see Misfortune saying that. It is like the perfect person for Mo, honestly, in terms of personality. I think they're meant to be together. Also, side note, you know, Mo's really good at running Misfortune on labs, so there's a little bit of that going on too. But yeah, they're both just built different at the end of the day. Okay, so for Grapplr, I think I would be doing a huge disservice if I didn't pick an allegiance card, because that's like one of the things he's most known for, is he's so good at missing allegiance when he definitely shouldn't. I've seen the compilations, I think they're hilarious, so I'm gonna pick either Gruff Grenadier or Yordle Grifter. I kind of like the idea of both of them, maybe like a hybrid between the two, but yeah, I think Gruff Grenadier is the one that makes me feel like, oh, yeah, this is the most Grapplr of the cards. Alright, for Bruised by God, aka BBG. This might be a cop-out. I just think he's like super smart, and I look up to him in his thought process, and the way he explains some of his decision making is really five-head to me. It's like super big brain. So he reminds me of Heimerdinger, just sitting down, really thinking about it, really like grinding the knowledge aspect of the game, and that's something I look up to a lot, because I just go full Unga Bunga. I just play aggressive strategies. I need to know what's going on in the smarter players' minds, and BBG is usually my go-to for that. Okay, so for BBG's evil cousin, Victor, essentially, aka Alanzq. So the way I see Alan is he's sort of like the same thing as BBG, where he's super smart, super inventive, and he makes really interesting decks, and the way he plays them is super, super interesting. However, he puts a little bit of darkness, you know, in there, not just the deck archetype, but also he's got some nice, like, spicy deck ideas, and he's got some really, like, interesting, you know, strategies as well. It kind of reminds me of just like a dark inventor, so I'm gonna go with Victor for Alan. Alright, next we have FaintHD being represented by Fizz. Now this is not just because Faint, you know, had a really awesome deck with like Fizz, Noxus, Burn, Elusive, Aggro, stuff like that. That's part of it, but also I stopped to think about it. I'm like, Faint is a little bit of Fizz. He's really slippery, he's really tricky with his deck builds. He has the most interesting aggressive decks and elusive strategies I've ever seen. And just look at Fizz's face. Tell me that's not Feint when he pulls out some kind of cheesy elusive. I've seen it live. This is so Feint, it's ridiculous. So you might say it's a cop-out, but I think it's just 100% accurate. Okay, next we have Jasensational, aka Ballistic Bot. So the way I like to see Jason is that he's a constant threat and generates value the longer he's left alone, right? And that's the kind of where it comes in with the effect. Jason can solve a meta if you give him enough time. It's crazy. I've seen the start of an expansion, I go watch his stream, and he's like, okay, I don't really know what's going on, I don't really know what's the best. A day later, he's like, got it optimized. He has 3 decks and he's just trashing everyone. He's really good at like winning matchups that he knows he's good at. And that kind of just reminds me of Ballistic Bot. I really like the way he plays, and I really like the way he figures out the meta, because it's actually helped me in the past like climb in certain metas where I didn't know what to do. You already know I'm checking out Jason, aka Ballistic Bot, absolutely destroying. Alright, next we got Monty. So for some reason, I can't put a finger on it, he just reminds me of Boxtopus, mainly because of the word scrappy. Monty is really scrappy with his decks and with his playstyle. He likes fighting, he likes a lot of interactions, and he has a little Peepo fight that's in the bottom corner. It looks like he wants to fight. So yeah, Monty, he's a scrappy Boxtopus for sure. Okay, so for SaucyMailman, the one word that I can think of when I think of Saucy is inviting. Whenever I've watched his stream or I've rated him and, checked it out for a little while, it's such a pleasant like experience and there's such positive energy. He just reminds me of a tavern keeper. It's like, come in, sit down and we'll talk, we'll have a good time together. It's very like open arms type vibes. So I can definitely see him as kindly tavern keeper. However, we need some facial hair. We need some beard over here. Saucy's rocking that nice beard. So he's more like tavern keeper, but with lecturing girl's beard. Look at that. You can't tell me that's not the most accurate thing. Alright, for my boy Tippy, I gotta throw him over to Azir. Now there's a really big reason for this, and that is because I've never seen a content creator command attention like Tippy does. I'll be sitting there, I'll have him on like my second monitor, I'll be playing my own games, I'll be watching something, and then he just starts popping off about something, and it just commands my attention immediately. And it just feels like I'm listening to Azir in the weirdest way. I'm just trying to make the comparison. So I really like that leadership attitude that Tippy has, and just like the overall commanding vibe that him and his voice bring to the Legends of Runeterra content creator sphere. So I gotta go with Azir here. Okay, so for MajiinBae, I'm gonna give him to Jay Medarda for 2 reasons. MajiinBae's stream and atmosphere are very fun, and the way that he builds is very adventurous, and that's 2 of Jay's things. He's literally like a Indiana Jones type adventurer. He looks super happy, he looks super chill, and just like the same amount of energy I get from this card, I get from MajiinBae's streams. So that's why I'm choosing Jay Medarda for my boy Majin. Okay, so I'm choosing Cephalopod to be Scattered Pod, and not only because they have pod in their name, but also Scattered Pod forces you to have a really interesting deck building constriction, and that's really cool. Like, we don't have a lot of cards like this in lore, and a lot of people enjoy that playstyle, and I know Cephalopod definitely does. So him having this unique like, oh, I should build the rest of the deck a certain way is really interesting. Other than that, as a player, Cephalopod is very flexible and he is also very adaptable to any game state, and Scattered Pod is very similar to that, of course, with his abilities. Also, I asked Cephalopod his opinion and he said, yeah, Scattered Pod works, so we're gonna go with that. Okay, so for FreshLobster, we got Back Alley Barkeep here, and just look at the mustache. Tell me that's not the same exact mustache. It looking so fresh, to be honest. But other than that, it's just so interesting that, FreshLobster is sort of like the bartender, of his stream. It's like, come in, check out these brews. Everyone sit down, have a drink, and then everyone like comes in and parties and has a good time in the stream. So it just kind of reminds me of the same energy as well. Okay, last but not least, I'm giving Inspiring Mentor as the card that represents me. The video just wouldn't be right if I didn't give myself a card to represent as well. So yeah, Inspiring Mentor I think is the best representation of me, because no matter what I'm doing, I try to put the education aspect first, and I'm trying to be a mentor to others, and inspire them to play cards, play decks. The thing that I want to do is make sure that players can learn and get better and climb. Those are like my main goals as a streamer. I also like that he's a little bit cheeky, and he's got that smug smile, and I do too. So that about wraps it up for now. Like I mentioned earlier, I couldn't get to everyone. I just looked at a few cards and a few players and drew some connections that I thought were interesting or humorous, so here we are. If there are better cards for the streamers that I mentioned, or if you have an idea for someone else, again, please comment below and we can talk about them. I think this topic is super fun, but also surprisingly interesting and can get kinda deep. With that, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It helps me out a ton, lets me know that my fun ideas are being enjoyed by others, so if nothing else, it's a good mental boost for me, so please consider it. I'll be releasing more deck profiles, guides, and gameplay highlights in the near future. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one. Laters!